Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Jammin Jukebox Radio Show. I am your host, DJ Delta Dawn, and so glad to be here with you this evening, on this rainy evening, I might add. I hope wherever you are this evening, you have sunshine, and it's been a beautiful day, and the temperatures have been perfect. And wouldn't that just be awesome if we were only in that perfect world, right? It has been raining here nonstop for 7 days, off and on. I say nonstop, that's a little deceiving. It has rained every day for the last 7 days, with more to come. So, usually we're in a drought. I guess I shouldn't complain, but it's getting to be a little bit excessive. This no sunshine is really starting to weigh on us all. So, like I said, I'm wishing for sunny skies wherever you are. So I hope everyone's had a great day. I certainly have, despite the rain. And I'm really excited this evening because our guest, oh my gosh, I'm just so excited to introduce her to you. Number one, she's from Australia, and I love Australians, and I love their accent. I love how they talk. I mean, I could listen to them talk all day long. Love how they speak. And but the other neat thing about her is that she is a blues artist, and she is undoubtedly the first female blues artist we've ever had on our program here. So that is another exciting factoid for you all. But she is not just any blues artist, because over in Australia she is considered the queen of blues. There, she has made quite a name for herself, and she's doing quite well. I must tell you, she's released several albums. The last being Chase and Tell. She also did a compilation album, a collaborative album with someone else, and that's called Split Second, I believe. But she is currently here in the United States on tour right now as we speak. She could be coming to a city very near you. So I'd like to introduce to you now Miss Anni-Piper. Hello, Annie.
Thank you, Dawn. Such a pleasure to be speaking with you.
Likewise. Thank you so much for taking time out of your tour, because I know right now you're pretty slammed. Something going on every second, it seems, to speak with us tonight. That is really amazing, and I greatly appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome. This is one of the first nights we've had off, actually, so it is nice to have a little bit of a break.
Most definitely. Well, I don't really know where to start, because with you've done so much already in your career, and Australia is a whole different story, because there you are very well known and have done very well there. Now you're branching out into the United States. People are getting wind of who you are and your music. So I guess the best place to start is just talk about your journey. How did you get into music, and how did you decide on the genre of blues?
Sure. Well, I started playing electric guitar when I was 12 years old. It was never something that I really wanted to do. I'd always wanted a bass guitar. When I was a very small child, I started learning the flute. My parents are both academics. My mother was a doctor and my father was a university professor. And so that was something that they considered, a musical instrument that they considered acceptable, was learning classical flute. But I just knew that I wanted a bass guitar. So after much pestering, my brother had an electric guitar in the corner of his bedroom that was gathering dust. He wasn't using it anymore. Mm-hmm. So my parents said, okay, if you study hard on this instrument, then and show us that you're committed to it, then maybe we'll get you a bass guitar. So obviously I proved myself to them, and I've been playing bass for about 20 years now. So it's been a really, really big part of my life. I spent several years as a high school music teacher. It can be very difficult to make a living just playing music and doing gigs in Australia. Obviously, we have a lot smaller population than the United States, so it can be very hard to make it as a musician. So after a number of years teaching school to kids, I had my own child, Flynn, who's now 11 years old, but after he was born, I found it very, very difficult to get back into the music industry and doing shows again. So I decided that I'd better record a demo CD so I could be considered for festivals and so on at home in Australia. And what was only ever meant to be a demo CD became my first full-length album release, Jailbait, back in 2004. And I was fortunate enough to win, an Australian Blues Music Music Award the following year. So that's what really launched my career.
That is just amazing, and it's interesting as you were speaking just now about how hard it is in Australia, for a music artist to make it. It is just about as hard here in the U.S., even though we're bigger than Australia, because there are so many people in the music world that are all vying for, a record label or just to be heard even. It is highly competitive, but the fact that you have you've been not only heard, seen, and now you're known in Australia for what you do in your music. I really have to believe that that's been a great launching point for you, especially now that you're touring here in the United States.
Oh, I'm very, very grateful for the chance that I've done a lot of touring in Australia already because as we were speaking earlier before we went live to air, the tour that I'm on at the moment has been a particularly grueling schedule, and we've had things like vehicle breakdown to contend with and so on, and I've been through all that before back home in Australia, so it's not like it was really going to freak me out. I'm very happy that I'm a seasoned professional and I've dealt with all the things that can go wrong, and so everything's been great so far on the tour. As I said, we started in Florida a couple of weeks ago. I arrived on the 1st of June. Spent a little bit of time rehearsing with my band, and I'm currently working with the JP Blues Band out of Atlanta, Georgia. So John Pagano on guitar, Shiloh Bloodworth on the drums. I think we make a fantastic little power trio, and the shows have been great. We did 13 nights in a row in different towns in Florida without a break, and then we had to spend 2.5 days driving from Florida to get to Oklahoma. I think we did 5 nights in Oklahoma and then went to Kansas City, Missouri. I'm here in Springfield, Illinois, having a much-deserved night off, and our next show is going to be the House of Blues in Chicago on the 4th of July.
Oh, my gosh. Now, I don't know if you know a whole lot about the House of Blues, but here in the U.S., the House of Blues is like one of the biggest venues for artists to play. I mean, be it indie artists. I mean, they pull in, like, headline acts to the House of Blues, and they have them situated all across the United States. And to play the House of Blues is huge, and that's a major thing for your tour. I just want to give you mad props and kudos for that, because not everybody gets into the House of Blues. I mean, you've got to have a particular sound. You've got to be exactly what they are looking for and the right fit. Although, I know we have a House of Blues in a neighboring state close to where I live, and they pull in acts from, all different types of music. But the House of Blues is really about blues. And so I think that is so exciting that you're actually going to get to perform and in one of the biggest cities in our nation. So Chicago I've never been to Chicago, but I've heard that it's just lovely. One of my closest friends lives in the outskirts of Chicago. So I think you will really enjoy that show there.
Oh, I think it's going to be fantastic, particularly as it's the 4th of July. We really hope to see some red-blooded Americans out for a real good time.
You definitely will, because 4th of July, I mean, there will be fireworks, and I can't even begin to imagine. I mean, a city as big as Chicago, they're not as big as New York, but they're as well known as New York, and it has its own little appeal and charm, and different things about it, much like the big cities in the U.S. do. And they will probably most likely have a huge fireworks display celebration, and so that will be a real treat for you to be here, I'm sure. And, well, I have to ask you, is this your first time to the U.S., or have you actually been before?
Well, this is my first tour in the United States, but I have. I was in America last year. I was confined to the East Coast, so just New Jersey and New York, while I was recording my latest CD, Split Second. I have actually lived in the United States when I was a small child. I lived in Champaign in Illinois and North Davis in California, so it's certainly not my first time in America, and I'm hoping it's not going to be my last either.
Well, I definitely don't think it will be, because honestly, I think that you for one thing, you're in a genre of music that I think is getting it's been around for a long time. I mean, in the U.S. in particular, people, when you're talking about B.B. King and Muddy Waters and some of those veteran blues artists that really put blues music on the map, people love it. And so with your style of music and putting your own spin, anni-piper style type of blues music, I mean, that is just giving us Americans something else to become, introduced to and also to enjoy in that genre, because it is really big here. So I'm sure this will not be your last trip to the United States for any stretch.
No, it's always fantastic to be here. Always fantastic to come back. And I guess the thing about Australian blues is that we do have some very dedicated and passionate blues fans, but in terms of our culture, blues is just not what it is here in the United States. There's so many, I think, misconceptions about the blues back home, and whereas in America, it's your folk music, and everyone's exposed to it from an early age. I think a lot of Australians just don't have an understanding of blues music, and that's why it can be kind of hard to promote back home in Australia.
Well, I'm so glad that you're here and that you're able to have, the U.S., who is already accustomed to blues music, and it's really a big part of our history, too, to just come and experience it and play and perform for people who love this style of music, because it is somewhat eclectic, and it's not, it's not a genre that I think speaks to everyone, but yet it does, because to me, blues music has always been, it's been soul, heart, gut-wrenching type music. I mean, the lyrics, the music itself, if there were no lyrics sung in blues, the music would just sing for it. It would speak without any words being spoken or sung.
Oh,
and
sure.
It is that, it is that deep. It just really touches the soul of a person when they hear it. And, it really affects you in a lot different way than other styles and genres of music. And, and that's, in my opinion.
That's what I love about it, is just that raw emotion in the blues, and the simplicity too, I think, is fantastic. It's always a challenge to find a new way to approach those same three chords. So I just think it's a wonderful style. I've been drawn to it for a very long time, and that's what I love about it.
Well, let's talk about your style for a minute, because what initially influenced you to kind of go in the direction of blues music?
The first blues recording I can ever remember hearing was the Paul Butterfield Blues Band playing Born in Chicago, and it was just so raucous, the harmonica sound, that I wanted to hear more. Stevie Ray Vaughan was a big influence on me early on. I mean, probably because he was one of those artists that it was easier to access back in Australia. It's not always easy, I guess, particularly, before iTunes came along. It was quite difficult to get your hands on, some more rare recordings. So, of course, Stevie Ray Vaughan being very readily available. I was listening to a lot of him, but I've certainly branched out in later years and got a lot more influences too.
Well, I just think that the fact that you've already released several albums is just incredible, especially, as you were just saying a moment ago, in Australia, the blues music is not as popular, say, as it is here by comparison. But the fact that you have risen to such popularity there with your music, why do you think that you have been accepted and received in such a huge way? I think here, when we have a new artist that does that, it's because Americans have really come to experience something that they've never experienced before, and it's what makes some of our biggest musicians what they are. Is that kind of the same way that it is in Australia?
Well, I think so. I think it's quite unique for a woman to be fronting a band, in a blues band in the first place, and then the fact that I play bass guitar as well, and I'm performing a lot of original songs. That is something very different for audiences, and for those people who are lucky enough to get themselves to one of our stage shows here in the United States. My performance the stage show is very exciting. You know, there's a fair bit of jumping around and climbing on things and climbing onto the audience, and you know, it can get a little bit risque at times. Just the show, is really interesting for people. I mean, for example, last night, as I said, there was a lot of, climbing on the furniture, climbing onto the audience, and I actually went out the front door of the club and played a couple of songs standing there on the sidewalk. I was waving to the ambulance drivers who were coming past, and so on, and the sheriff sort of did I think they turned deliberately away so they wouldn't see me, but, waving I was out there on the sidewalk waving to the buses, waving to the ambulance drivers, and having a great old time. So, again, it's not necessarily what I guess it's not necessarily what people are expecting. So, yeah, we had a fantastic show last night, and it was very well received.
Well, in case you haven't noticed by now, Americans are just absolutely crazy. So an artist like yourself that goes into a venue and performs in this way, we love it. We just eat it up because, we're not about someone coming in and standing in front of a microphone strumming an instrument. I mean, we want action. We want people moving and doing crazy things on stage, really entertaining us along with the music that entertains us. It's just kind of part of our society and part of our makeup in terms of being true diehard music lovers. I would have loved to have seen that. I bet that was incredible. And so much fun.
It was a lot of fun, and that's just the way I express myself too. The music makes me want to move. I want to get out there and interact with the audience and feed off their energy. I think that's such a wonderful part of making music. So it just makes me play even better when I can get right up there in someone's face and see that they're really enjoying what we're doing.
Mhm. Most definitely. Now, let's talk a little bit about your last solo album, which is entitled Chasing Tail. And interesting title, by the way. Talk a little bit about the album and how it came together for you. What was your inspiration behind it?
Well, in each of the different discs that I've recorded, so I have 4 album releases at the moment, I've used a different backing band on each one, and it's been, for my Australian releases, such as Chasing Tail, I've always recorded with the band that I was touring with at the time. So Chasing Tail, it's much more of a blues rock album than any of my other releases, and again, that's just I've worked to the strengths of the band and the sort of music that they played best on that recording. So that's why Chasing Tail has come out as it did. The song Chasing Tail is, well, it's a woman, telling a man that, you're a dog, not a man now, because you were always chasing tail. But it's really, it's the story of a certain rogue band member who shall remain nameless, who was never ready to leave town on the tour bus, who could not be found in the mornings, who had basically disappeared because he was out chasing tail, trying to pick up women and usually succeeding, might I add. He was very good at disappearing, so that's actually...
Well, we actually, it's interesting. I kind of thought that was maybe what the title alluded to, because here in the States we refer to that as, sometimes in the same manner. And we've called it other things, which I will not say on the air, but, any number of things. Yeah, it gets pretty bad sometimes, some of the terminology we Americans have, as you can imagine. But yes, that is kind of a politically correct way to say a man who's running around on his woman.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, and I actually listened to that song, and I like that song a lot, just because I think most people can, as music goes, they can identify with music. But I think, I don't think if anyone's been in a relationship, they haven't had, there's no one out there that can't say, I've never had that experience, because unfortunately it happens, I think, to everybody. So that is a song that I think everybody totally relates to and totally gets completely, and it matters not what country you're from. It kind of happens, it's universal, so nonetheless. Now, you also have an album out that you did a project with Nicole Hart called Split Second, and talk a little bit about how that came to be, because that is your current project, correct?
That's correct, yes. Split Second is currently ranking on the Living Blues charts and the RMR charts at the moment, so it's really exciting. Split Second was, I guess, the brainchild of Joe Moravia from Blues Leaf Records. That's my record label over here in the United States. And Nicole is also one of their artists as well. And Joe said to himself, okay, I really want to get these women together to record an album, and it was a great choice. There's such contrast between Nicole's voice and my voice that, the album's turned out really, really well, and I'm glad it's charting and that people are hearing it, because it's one that's a really fun listen.
Yes, and I've listened to the album front to back, and I must tell you, you're so right. I mean, your voices are very different, but they complement each other well on this record. And it was a nice, it was just a nice sound coming from both of you to make this album. And it is no surprise why it is being so well received and getting the airplay and even the charting that it's getting because of how well it's been done. And, it just goes to show how talented you both are. It really does shine through on the album.
Well, thank you. That's very kind. I think what was exciting for me about recording Split Second was just the process in the studio and how different that was from back in Australia. So on my earlier releases, the producer has wanted to do a lot of overdubs and so on, and to get me to go back and redo my vocals once we'd done the band tracks. But when we recorded this latest album, just everything was done live. I was actually singing and playing bass in the same room as the band while we had Nicole off in a booth. And it was, just a great experience for me, as I said, to do everything live, because I was in there with the drummer and so on, but, I wasn't going to be making any mistakes, because we would have had to go back and do the whole song again. So I think what's really been captured on the recording is just those rough edges that I love. I don't think blues should be too perfect. I think that that we've chosen the takes that that had the most character, rather than ones that were going to be absolutely time perfect, note perfect, that sort of thing.
Well, it's very well done. Again, I just have to commend you and Nicole both for doing such a phenomenal job. And I have no doubt that as it continues to be heard, that it's going to continue to progress up the charts and really do very well. It's just that good of an album. So, but all of your stuff is good. It's really, as I was sitting here tonight trying to figure out what music am I going to play, it was so hard to narrow it down, because your stuff is really good, and it's surprised that you're here touring in the United States, and it's giving Americans the opportunity to hear your style of blues, which many already love this genre anyway. So to have you here and performing it, and I've never seen blues performed live, but I definitely want to get out and see that one day, because live music, there's no compare to hearing it on a disc or on your iPod or whatever, because it is just, you really get to see the artists do their thing in such a way that can't be captured, in a recording sometimes. In other words, we can't see you jumping all over the stage and singing out in the street, But I think there's something magical about seeing an act an artist perform their music live. And I imagine that your show is just very electrifying. And, blues music, whoever thought it could be electrifying. But yeah, I mean, people get excited about this genre of music because it goes so far back in our history of our country, and how it was brought to this country and introduced and so well received. People have just loved it. It's had a long-standing reputation that has preceded itself. So, so you're in the right genre, no doubt.
Fantastic.
Well, if I had, I have to put you on the spot for a bit. Do you have a favorite album of all of the ones that you've done so far? Is there one that's just kind of like has been your pet project that holds the most sentimentality for you?
Look, really I don't, because my albums are all so different, each in their own way. As I said, the first album I recorded, Jailbait, that obviously that is a bit of a pet of mine because that's what got my career started. But Texas Hold'em, my second CD, that had such a great band on it. Again, Chasing Tail is very much blues rock, and I'm not sure I'm headed so strongly in that direction. And then Split Second is fantastic again. I really can't choose among them.
Yeah. Well, it's understandable because, as a listener, it's hard for me to say, do I have a favorite? It's really hard because this is such a really fascinating genre of music for me. It always has been. And it's a genre that I've never, had at the top of my listening list. But when I do hear blues music, I'm like, why don't I listen to more of this stuff? This is good stuff because it really is raw and untapped. And it's just, I think it really does showcase an artist's talent, unlike other styles of music, because, what you hear is what you're getting from the artist. There's not a lot of tweaking that you can do to blues music. And to really, if you want that sound to come through, that is so, reminiscent and prevalent in that blues sound that an artist conveys. And so your stuff is it's very original, and I actually really do love it. I mean, new fan in me for sure.
Oh, thank you so much.
Well, and after you come off tour and you're back in Australia, do you have any forthcoming plans? Will you be working on new music? Will you be taking a little bit of a break? What's going to be going on for you later on in the year?
I will be taking a little bit of a break. As I said, it's been a really, really big schedule. So I do have some festivals confirmed in Australia for later on this year, but I'm really hoping to return to the USA in 2014 and maybe look at getting on the festival circuit. And I'm going to be seeing the manager of my record label in just over a week when we perform in New Jersey. So I'm sure I'll be having a word in his ear about, hey, I think 2014 is the time to record another Anni-Piper disc. So,
hey, there you go.
Yes.
And as an artist, you have to always be forward-thinking. You can never stop thinking about what you're going to do next because, then everything would kind of come to a grinding halt. And to keep the momentum going, you have to stay forward-thinking, I believe. Well, and I just have to ask, is there any chance that you will be coming to North Carolina on this current tour that you're on?
Now, I believe I actually am coming to North Carolina. Now, my schedule, as I said, is House of Blues in Chicago on the 4th of July. Then we're heading over to the Sellersville Theatre in Pennsylvania on the 11th of July. We're supporting Chris Duarte, which is very exciting. We're playing Whippany, New Jersey on the 12th, and I'm actually supporting the JP Blues Band on the 13th of July at the Southern Pines Crawl. I believe that's a festival they're having over there, a place called the Beltree Tavern. So 13th of July, yes. Yes,
so you will be in North Carolina. Okay, Southern Pines, which is Southern Pines is about an hour and a half from me. Okay. But I would love. When is the date of that again?
That's the 13th of July that I'll be there in North Carolina.
Well, I would love to get out to see you. That would be phenomenal if I could see you. I always try to go out and see the people that I've interviewed on the show if they're coming through North Carolina, if my schedule permits. So I would love to get out and see you perform live. I think it would be awesome. Plus, I think it would be electrifying to come to North Carolina and be able to jump all over everything and sing in the streets.
All right.
So, yeah, that would be cool. Just rock us out. But, yeah, I mean, that would be great. I've noted that down, and I'm going to see if my schedule will permit me to get out there to see you perform. That would be awesome. But if I don't, I know that your tour here is going to be phenomenal. It sounds like it's going very well thus far, and I know it's going to be hugely successful and well received, and people will be begging for you to come back. So it's probably good that you're trying to get some things going for next year already to make plans to do that.
Oh, yes. Look, we've already have had several venues begging for us to come back, which is wonderful. So I'm really looking forward to another round.
Well, see, there you go. Now you know you have to come back to the U.S. in 2014, so or sooner if your schedule will permit. So, well, Annie, it has been absolutely wonderful speaking with you this evening and talking about your music and your career, and you're just absolutely awesome, and I wish you much, much continued success as you move forward and bring us more great blues music, anni-piper style. And so good luck to you, and be safe in all your travels around the United States and beyond.
Very kind of you, Dawn. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, and take care, and I will let you go so you can get some rest and enjoy your evening off.
Sounds good. Thank you again.
All right. All righty. We'll talk with you soon. All right, folks. Gosh, what a delightful, delightful woman. A phenomenal artist. If you love blues music, you're going to love anni-piper. And I'm going to give you an opportunity to hear a couple songs by her now before we wrap our show. I picked one off of her album, Chasing Tail, because I really like the song a whole lot. And, you know, if I said I had a favorite, I don't know that I can say it's a favorite because so many of her songs are just that good. But this is off of the Chasing Tail CD, and this is called Hideaway. could you imagine hearing that live somewhere? Anni-Piper, and that's off Chase and Tell, her Chase and Tell album, and that is called Hideaway. Wow, that was smoking hot. And I'm telling you, if you're anywhere in the vicinity of her tour that she's on currently, you need to try to get out to check her out. She's actually going to be playing, as she said, at the House of Blues in Chicago on July 4th. And let's see, I'll tell you what time the show is going to start, 8 p.m. So if you love blues music and that was exciting for you, you need to get out to see Annie while she's here because, wow, what a phenomenal artist. I've got one more song I'm going to play off of her latest album because that was just instrumental, just to give you a good overview of her talent as an artist, a musician, and to kind of give you an idea of why she is so popular and so well received in Australia and called the Queen of Blues over there. But this is off of her current project, her collaborative effort with Nicole Hart, and this is off of the Split Second album, and this is called Bad Side Baby.
I'm on your bad side, baby, and it's really got me down. I'm on your bad side, baby, and it's really got me down. Well, you and me, we ain't talking and walking all around. Well, you say that you love me, you call me on the phone. Well, you say that you love me when you call me on the phone. When we're together, you don't smile, and you're in an awful tone. Well, I feel so bad, I don't know what to do. Does it really make you happy to see me feeling blue? I'm on your bad side, baby, and I'm feeling awful low. Well, you ain't been nothing but chilly, and your climate's getting cold. I will not hold a grudge. I really want you to want me, but I cannot stand to be judged. I'm on your bad side, baby. It's really got me down. I ain't had me a bad day. I feel like I'm gonna drown. I'm on your bad side, baby. I'm on your bad side, baby. I'm on your bad side, baby.
Another great hit, and that was off of the Split Second project, and that's her latest release, collaborative effort with Nicole Hart, and that was called Bad Side Baby. Oh, great artist, great blues musician. It is not hard to believe why she is called the Queen of Blues over in Australia. And as she makes her circuit here, touring in the United States, and continues to let her music be heard, I have a feeling she's going to be called the Queen of Blues here before long, too. So that is going to wrap our show for this evening, folks. I want to say a huge thank you once again to Anni-Piper for being our very special guest, and I hope you enjoyed that music there. And if you'd like to check out Annie and also find where you can buy her music and so forth, you can visit her website, Annie, and that's ANNI, Piper, PIPER.com. And it has it's chock full of information, but it'll give you links to where you can go and purchase her music. Or, you know, if you're going to be out in Chicago on July 4th looking for some great blues music, go over to the House of Blues. She'll be performing at 8 p.m. Eastern. So look for her there. All right, folks, that is going to wrap our show. Tomorrow night, we have special guest with us, Antoine Dunn. He's an R&B artist, and he's got a brand new single that dropped as of today called I Am. We'll be talking to him about that. Brand new website launch, the whole 9 yards. Looking forward to speaking with him. He will be here at, 7 p.m. Eastern, so we hope that you'll join us for that. Thank you, everyone, for being with us this evening. We greatly appreciate all of you. If you're brand new to our program, welcome aboard. Please come back again. We'd love to have you anytime. And with that, I'll say good night. Have a great evening all, and we'll see you again tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Eastern. Take care.
Thanks for listening to tonight's show. You can connect with Jammin Jukebox Radio Show on Twitter at Jammin Jukebox or on Facebook at Jammin Jukebox Radio Show. Check out our website at thejamminjukebox.com. Also, follow us on Blog Talk, where you will be always up to date on every episode as we add it. Each episode is available for immediate download upon the conclusion of each broadcast, and as always, on iTunes. Thank you for joining us.